This video's title is kind of redundant, because it seems like Mönkey already has been welcomed back, which, on the surface, to me, it's kind of concerning. So I need to not beat around the bush, like, at all, and just establish a few things and make myself clear. This video is not in favor of Mönkey, but I'm also not really making this to, like, re-cancel the dude and command all of you not to watch him or forgive him. I'm really just making this to share my thoughts, not because I have tremendously valuable insight into this whole thing, but just because my thoughts are mostly in disagreement with the comment section of Mönkey's newest video. There are probably some people who don't know what the fuck this is about, so I will explain it, but I'll explain it from my point of view and how it was all revealed to me, so that it's like a little bit more interesting to the people who do know what's going on. So Mönkey is the name of a TF2 channel here on YouTube that would mainly post a bunch of goofy clip dumps. I guess you could describe him as like Soundsmith if Soundsmith wasn't an NPC, and was also Swedish. He's got over 100k subscribers, good-sized channel that pulls good views. Now, Mönkey and I have spoken before, and we were like acquaintances, and he almost appeared in one of my videos. I kinda doubt he would've called me a friend, but that's sort of the dynamic I have with most of these TF2 people. We have a few DM interactions, and we're not buddies or anything, but we're friendly, and I can probably message them and get a DM back. That's pretty much the extent of my contact and association with Mönkey. This isn't super important or particularly relevant to the point I'm making with this video, but it could be relevant to people trying to read into my actions or reasoning behind making this video. Just so people are clear, we weren't strangers and we weren't best friends. So back in September, I'm minding my own business when I get a DM from a prominent member of the TF2 community, and he messages me something along the lines of, "Hey, did you hear the news?" And I'm thinking, news? I haven't heard any news, but if this guy's messaging me about it, it must be some pretty exciting news. So I'm like, no, what's the news? And he's like, you can't tell anyone about this right now. It's not being made public just yet. And I'm like, sir, yes, sir. And then I just get sent like 10 screenshots of Mönkey saying some very strange, questionable things to a minor. And like half of them were from January 6th, which was kind of funny to me. And again, to be clear, I always liked Mönkey. There is no bias here, and I was not jumping for joy when I saw these screenshots, nor was I devastated. I was just kind of disappointed. You see this stuff all the time, unfortunately. YouTubers getting exposed for morally reprehensible actions relating to minors, but it's a different feeling when you know the person or when you're at least, like, friendly with the person, like I and some of these other TFT YouTubers were with Mönkey. Now, let me provide context, and then explain why I feel this way, even with the context applied. The person that revealed this news to me, as well as a bunch of others, did so a day before the victim of the situation made it public on Twitter, just in case any of us were like actively associating or collaborating with Mönkey and we wanted to reconsider that choice with this brand new information brought to light. The very next day, Kel, the supposed victim, published a document exposing Mönkey. Here's a few of the screenshots shown in the document. Mönkey's greatest hits, some might call them. Pretty bad stuff. However, not much context was provided in this document, just a general overview, some stomach-churning Discord messages, and the proof that this was actually him, which quickly became redundant when Mönkey admitted it was him not much later. This document just wasn't detailed enough to fully cover what happened, and whether or not people realized this, many weren't super perceptive of it. Many speculated it was fake, others pointed out it was a fresh account. Some noted that the post was made the same day Mönkey uploaded one of his videos to YouTube, which is probably not a coincidence. People called them an attention seeker and told others to ignore it, etc. People were finding as many ways to discredit this document as they could, just because it was kind of fishy and incomplete. This is fair enough, I suppose, but what ultimately ended up making everything clear and officially establishing Mönkey as pretty much indefensible, at least in my opinion and the opinion of many others, was a document posted almost exactly an hour later by Mönkey himself. Non-cherry-picking screenshots. To summarize what this document is, it's a kamikaze. Mönkey goes over the entire encounter between him and this minor from beginning to end, which lasted many, many months, and in doing so, admits to some pretty bad things that seemingly spelled the end for him, as they would spell the end for any other YouTuber to admit to this. I do want to go through, like, all the bullet points of his response to give you a clear picture of the situation, and I will link a copy of both documents if you'd like to read them yourself. But I also real quick want to note something about the length of his document compared to his response time. Usually when YouTubers get exposed for this kind of thing, there's at least a good few days where people are sort of just waiting to hear the other side before jumping to any conclusions. At least that's what the rational people do. Sometimes if they're guilty, they'll disappear for a while and not really respond at all. Sometimes they'll take a while before dropping a terrible response that only makes things worse for them. And sometimes they'll take their time to formulate a good response that proves their innocence. He knew this was coming, and I'm fairly certain that he told the victim it would be coming if they made things public, as a sort of mutually assured destruction. Now, him preparing the document ahead of time isn't necessarily indicative of any sort of guilt, but the contents of the document certainly are, so let's get into that. The first chunk sets the stage, explains how Mönkey and this person came to meet each other, the fact that Mönkey was feeling really down at the time over the loss of his younger brother's life. how he told them that he's not okay with talking to minors before going on to continue talking to this minor, and that he just thought he could talk to this person about stressful stuff going on in his life. He shows examples of them trying to subtly lead the conversation to a sort of inappropriate direction, and it became very clear early on that Mönkey should have stopped engaging with this person when he had the chance. Any of the many chances that he was given. But he was sad about his brother's funeral and let it go on. The next chunk explains that he just gave up on trying to resist the temptation of having e-sex with this minor, and instead started trying to justify it to himself so he could feel less miserable while doing it. His reason for this is that he was sad. Now, I don't want to seem like this emotionless husk that doesn't give a fuck about his brother's death, but plenty of people around the world lose family members every day, and it's very sad, but most of them don't e-fuck a 16-year-old to make themselves feel better. Yet that's what Mönkey went on to do. That night was the first time I ever talked heavily explicit stuff with someone underage. A direct quote from Mönkey in his response document. The next section talks about how the very next day, he got a little freaky with them again, but it wasn't quite freaky enough, so they demanded an apology. A number of apologies, actually. Mönkey then starts to realize that he's kind of fucked, and this 16-year-old is kind of fucking insane. So in an effort to get away from this person without having them expose him, he starts to slowly change his behavior. Probably so that they slowly lose interest in him over time and they just drift far enough apart from each other to stop talking and not really think about one another. He eventually made it clear that he's not cool with continuing any sexual conversations, but what's done is done. The next part is titled Red Flags and just shows some examples of the red flags that popped up before this point and should have been the signal for him to disengage, becoming increasingly more obvious as they led up to that night. But he claims the main reason he couldn't is because they kept opening up to each other about trauma and stuff. Not a good reason. The next section also takes place prior to that night, and shows the minor admitting to having a crush on Mönkey before practically begging that they start a secret online relationship together, and it gets fucking intense. Mönkey makes it clear to them that he can't. It's just not something that can happen, and he tries to explain why, but he never really says that he doesn't want to. So Kel keeps begging and threatening to harm themselves, which Mönkey took very seriously. This is manipulation from the supposed minor. What do you do in this situation? Do you agree to start a relationship with someone underage? Or do you block them and move on, risking that they hurt themselves? The answer is that you never let it get to this point in the first place. But since you have, block them, disengage. Anything that happens to them beyond that point can't be attributed to you. It's not your fault. Maybe give them some encouraging, reassuring, motivational messages beforehand, but don't indulge them. You can only make things worse for them and for yourself. This conversation of, Mönkey, please fucking e-date me, I'm begging you, went on for quite a while. They wouldn't take no for an answer, but Mönkey always told them no. Didn't stop Mönkey from telling them that he loved them, though. Keep in mind that they haven't even known each other for 2 weeks at this point. By the way, if you feel like I'm leaving anything out in order to push some sort of agenda or narrative against Mönkey, I'll just say that anything left out is for the sake of brevity. Both documents, as well as Mönkey's video, are linked in the description. Anything left out can be found there, but be advised that both Mönkey and Kel leave things out to make themselves appear more favorably in their respective documents, so the next chunk talks about when they played MVM together, followed by the minor demanding another apology. I don't even know what for, to be honest. He also noticed that they were picking up on his slow change of behavior. Next section shows them sending him explicit stuff to try getting a reaction, which Mönkey tried to dismiss and move on from. Then the kid demands another apology for some random bullshit. From this point forward, this person basically fucking owned Mönkey. Mönkey could say or do anything, and they would find something about it that they didn't like and go on to demand an MLA format 69-paragraph essay for an apology. And Mönkey would do it, because he has to if he doesn't want to get exposed as a pedophile to his community. If only he knew then that his community doesn't really give a fuck. It sucks, and I do feel bad for Mönkey in this specific regard. Did he deserve to be a slave to a mentally ill 16-year-old for however many months this went on? Not really, but he did it to himself, and he did deserve to be exposed. Next is a short section of the minor being annoyed at Mönkey for not responding to them in a timely manner. Then they ask if they can ask a question to appear in a Q&A section of Mönkey's next video. He declines. They demand an apology. Next is Mönkey getting drunk on January 6th. These screenshots are kind of funny and pretty pathetic. Let me read you a handful of the things that Mönkey says to this 16-year-old while drunk. I love you. I'd love to just be with you and hug you daily. I want to like just kiss your lips and pick you up. I know you're just like 16, but you're legal here in Sweden and I don't give a fuck. You give me meaning, I feel. Something to worry about. Like if you were my own little daughter, even though you, like, clearly want me in another way. You want me to destroy you or something, use all my strength, which I could just... Actually, no, I can't talk about this. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. Kisses. Everyone will think I'm a pedo. Now, I should make myself very clear in saying that the argument, well, he was under the influence of alcohol, so he can't really be held accountable for this, is a stupid, shitty argument. And it's wrong. I'm not here to debate that, and it's not necessary for me to, since Mönkey has already admitted to doing and saying worse things while not drunk. Okay, but like, of all the things to do while drunk, why do you go to text this 16-year-old about how much they want you to rail and destroy them? But like, Mönkey's already said at this point that he's trying to sort of slowly disengage with Kel, but there's moments like this where he just comes back to them and like messages them first, like, hey, I'm drunk, and it's like, what, like, is this really how you're spending your Saturday night? Like, it just makes you question whether or not he really didn't want this. Then we have the aftermath, which seems to be Kel continuing to beg Mönkey to date them. Then the aftermath of the aftermath, where Mönkey admits to agreeing to be friends with benefits with this minor, and if you don't know what that means, look it up. He agrees to do some more e-sex and even a bit of ERP, and then I noticed that in this document there's a big jump between January 11th and January 25th with no screenshots. Fascinating. Finally, the last bit. Over a bit of time, they exchanged some toxic DMs, but it seems like over time they would talk less and less and think about each other less and less. He was probably pretty happy to read this, thinking he might be out of the woods at this point. After the last bit, there's another bit called blackmail, where he shows this person is blackmailing him, which they were. They continue speaking less and less based on the spacing, the dates, and the screenshots. After a while, the person starts sending the supposed blackmail to Mönkey's friends, blah blah blah. Mönkey ends the document with a few interesting paragraphs. These paragraphs are mostly summarizing how terrible, manipulative, dangerous, dishonest, and attention-seeking Kel is, and that they should be exiled from any online community they're seen in because they are just 100% trouble. Now, let me just get this out of the way right now. I fully agree with this, and so does just about anyone who's looked in this whole situation even a little bit. That became very apparent on day one. But this video isn't about Kel, it's about Mönkey and what he did. Mönkey's response document and response video are about Kel and not him or what he did, so I guess go look at those if you're so interested in finding out why Kel sucks. But every time I've referred to Kel as the victim so far in this video was done with big air quotes. The only point in these parting paragraphs that Mönkey mentions how this affects him or how he thinks this should affect him is when he says, I never wanted this to reach the public because I fucked up badly and I don't think it's fair for my entire social life to be ruined just because I did a mistake that I will never do again. Fully admitting to what he's done, he goes on to apologize. Now let's move on to the perception and some of the fallout that occurred from this. Many of the replies to discourse surrounding the whole thing were people that were clearly fans of Mönkey and didn't read his document. They would post the document in which Mönkey admits multiple times to engaging sexually with a child online and say, he's innocent, read this, here's the proof. But most rational people were just sort of discussing and trying to figure out what the hell Kel's deal was, since they were already all in agreement that Mönkey did a big oopsie and was done for. Many comments started to pop up on his most recent video at the time, expressing their disappointment and casting shame onto Mönkey. I was on Discord discussing the situation with Dawes. Dawes is probably the TF2 creator that I am the most chill with ever since NerdSauce vanished off the face of the earth, and I'm sure that he would be the first to tell you that he is a little drama gremlin and wanted to get his hands all over this and even had a chat with Kel. But again, this isn't specifically about Kel, so I'll just reiterate like a couple things I was saying to Dawes about Mönkey that aren't super obvious surface level takes. This is fucked up, but the victim made it very easy for people to defend him. Yeah, I watch a lot of To Catch a Predator style YouTube channels like Skeeter Gene, Protect the Innocent, and others, and you'll notice that they always pose as someone under 16 and never initiate the sexual conversation, usually for legal reasons so that it's easier to convict them or something like that. But I've thought a lot about how there are probably countless predators out there that avoid being caught by those sorts of sting operations because they talk to 16-year-olds, or they only make it sexual if the minor makes it sexual first. And there are people who would justify that with 16 is legal in most places, or she came on to him. But it's all bullshit. It honestly seems like Mönkey was manipulated by this child while he was in a shitty mental state. But I think that even if you are capable of being manipulated into doing that at his age, you're a danger to children. He clearly knew better, but still wasn't able to resist the temptation of a 16-year-old girl throwing herself at him. Don sent me these screenshots, which I think he got from Kel, and just read this part. Your actions have consequences, and it is not fair for you to go around saying that I groomed you. Why is that not fair? This is a screenshot of you saying the kind of shit that groomers say to kids that you put in the very document you're threatening to release in this message, where you say it's not fair to tell people you're a groomer. Sorry, not threatening. Warning, my mistake. It has the exact same meaning in this particular context, but my bad. Also, apparently Mönkey has ties to the US government. The Swedes are infiltrating. If anyone's curious to know what Zesty's thoughts were at the time, and definitely still are, here's a clip of him addressing it on his stream.
Yeah, I've seen the shit about Mönkey. All I can say is shit's fucked. You should not be talking to someone who's 16 years old when you're 22 like that. It's not good. Very bad. Very bad. That's about it.
I just thought I'd show that, since Mönkey and Zesty were more than averagely associated with each other before this whole thing went down, so their audiences likely have considerable overlap, and there's a good chance that some Mönkey defenders watching this might value his opinion more than mine, so there it is. Haven't spoken to him personally about it, but I can tell you that Zesty does not approve. Whammo crawled out of his hole in Thailand to chime in. Turkey Tom covered the drama. I noticed that Mönkey unfriended me and seemingly like everyone else on Discord and Steam, and then nothing really happened for a couple months. It seemed like Mönkey was gone, and probably wouldn't come back, but guess what? He came back. With what might seem like an apology video, but it's not really that. Like, sure, he does apologize in it, and the video's description is "I'm sorry," but that doesn't actually mean it's an apology video. Like here, for example, I'll apologize to Reddit for being the reason that Hitler posting isn't allowed. I'm sorry, Reddit. Because I just did that, it doesn't make this an apology video. Mönkey's video is primarily a hit piece on Kel, and secondarily, an explanation to his wider audience as to why he's been gone for a bit. In his own words, it's a video about this Kel person. I feel like it's important to note that prior to Mönkey releasing this video, the vast majority of his audience did not read his document, and a very large portion of them didn't even know a situation had happened. I think Mönkey got very lucky in the sense that not a single creator in the TF2 community with a large platform made a substantial amount of noise about this. There's Zesty's stream clip and the What being kind of vocal on Twitter, but no big video explaining everything to the wider YouTube community. If anyone had done that, that person would have given the first impression of this drama to a pretty large amount of people. Unfortunately, the person who had that privilege of giving that first impression to all those people was Mönkey, allowing him to portray himself favorably to them. And even so, this video's views don't really compete with his average, meaning a tremendous chunk of his audience still has no fucking idea. I'm just gonna go through all my points against this video and a couple things I noticed. Mönkey opens the video with a TLDR of the situation, and begins that TLDR with the death of his brother, even going as far as to share unnecessary details about the nature of his death. Now, this event in Mönkey's life is not necessarily irrelevant to what happened between him and Kel, as his claim is that he wouldn't have indulged them if he had not been in a bad mental state, thanks to his brother's passing. But we should note that it's not out of the question for Mönkey to have done this anyway in a parallel universe where his brother hadn't died around this time. But we don't know. Mönkey might not even know. Regardless, opening up your explanation this way frames things in a way that demands sympathy from the audience. Again, most people this is being presented to have no clue what this is about, so making them feel bad for you at the very start before explaining anything else sets you up in a way that sort of softens the blow when you reveal this horrible thing you did. Whether intentional or not, the way he presents this is kind of manipulative to the audience, in a video where he goes on to repeatedly talk about how horribly he was manipulated. Not to mention he goes on to introduce Kel as this horrible manipulative troublemaker that's banned in a bunch of Discord servers before revealing anything else that happened or what he did. Again, while true, this sets him up as the victim of the story and Kel as the villain. It doesn't matter if this was his intention or not, that is the way the story is set up when you present it in this way. After finally revealing the catalyst of this controversy in the most subdued manner possible, Mönkey himself admits that the excuses he used to justify his actions at the time were lazy and didn't actually justify anything. Those excuses being that 15 is the age of consent in Sweden, where Mönkey lives, and that they were just Discord DMs with nothing happening in real life. The reason I'm drawing attention to this is because Mönkey himself is sensible enough to admit that these aren't justifications, but some of his viewers are not. If these are your arguments against me, even Mönkey thinks you're an idiot. Mönkey claims that he started looking for job practice to rehabilitate himself and start acting his age, which I don't doubt, but I honestly kinda speculate that it was really in anticipation of losing his online career. But then he probably saw the overwhelming support of this video and thought, well, thank God I don't gotta do that anymore. I don't know. Maybe he's still working a 9 to 5. If he is, good for him. Next, Mönkey talks about how he was reached out to by someone post-controversy that insisted he was innocent, which Mönkey heavily doubted. This guy then proceeded to gaslight Mönkey into believing that he was innocent by compiling a bunch of screenshots and instances of Kel being a terrible person and manipulating other people, a lot of which were actual children. It should go without saying at this point that this does not prove Mönkey's innocence or even have relevance to his innocence or his guilt. Lots of emphasis is placed on the fact that Kel lies about their age. At this time, I don't believe Kel's true age is known, but they've been shown talking to different people and telling them an age that ranges from 16 to 19, which by the way is not new information. Kel told this to Mönkey during one of their initial conversations, which Mönkey displays in his initial response document. And in this video, when he's talking about Kel lying about their age, he then says sarcastically, you know, things that normal people do. Does he just forget about this section in his document where he admits to doing the exact same fucking thing when he was younger? It actually is normal to lie about your age when you're a kid. I'm sure some of you have probably done it. Mönkey's clearly done it. Kel is doing it, I guess. I did it when I was younger because I was embarrassed about being a cringe 14-year-old. It is actually normal, okay? Now again, this is not relevant to Mönkey's innocence or his guilt. It could be revealed tomorrow that Kel is 13, 16, 19, 30, 51, and it wouldn't impact the way that I or anyone else should view Mönkey's actions when he initially engaged with this person. And if you think it should, I doubt that you apply that standard anywhere else. When a pedophile is caught on To Catch a Predator, do you sit there and go, wait a minute, Chris Hansen doesn't look like a 13-year-old girl? Did they lie to him? How dare they frame this innocent man? And I'm not trying to compare Kel and Chris Hansen to one another, I'm simply pointing out the double standard to people who think this is a relevant point. Next, Mönkey goes over a bunch of instances of Kel manipulating and fucking with other people in some pretty bad ways. The people in these cases are definitely victims, much more so than Mönkey since most of them are actually minors. Mönkey is still technically a victim of manipulation, but again, he had so many opportunities to disengage this kid, so it would be a lie to call him blameless. There's a big difference between posing as an adult to take advantage of kids and posing as a kid to take advantage of a depressed adult. But the way Mönkey presents this frames it as if they're all on a similar level. Like, hey, I'm a victim of Kel, here's a bunch of other victims of Kel, we all suffered the same manipulation from the same person, and all had the same level of responsibility in the encounter. Again, this may not be intentional, but it gets you to sympathize with all the victims of Kel, Mönkey included. Mönkey then explains how Kel tried to do this same sort of song and dance with Ellie, one of Mönkey's friends, and Zesty Jesus, trying to get all friendly with them so they can go on to manipulate them into a sexual conversation, but you may notice that it didn't work on them, since I'm sure they are sensible, responsible adults that have no desire to have e-sex with underage children. Mönkey says in the video that after the initial sexual conversation, he stopped because he never really felt comfortable doing so to begin with, and then he had a small voice in the back of his head telling him that it's wrong. Something that I think would have been good for Mönkey to do in this video is explain why he thinks this is wrong. Like, obviously it's wrong to engage sexually with a child as an adult, but do you think Mönkey knows why? I don't think he once says it anywhere in his document or this video. He only ever seems to be concerned with what people would think of him if they found out. This would be bad for me because it would ruin my social life. I'm not accusing Mönkey of actually not knowing the reason or that he's unconcerned with the real reason, and it might just be that it goes without saying, but you think it might come up at some point or another, right? But to answer why pedophilia is bad, it's because children are incapable of consenting to sexual acts, and to engage sexually with them online is bad and irresponsible and can be pretty damaging. Damaging to a YouTuber's reputation, sure, but more damaging to the child's life. So I had not known that he shows the warning that he gave to Kel in this video. Kinda crazy, because this really does not make him look good. Mönkey says that the document Kel released was spun around to make Mönkey appear as a groomer when he is not. Mönkey's reasoning for why he is not a groomer is because Kel asked him for nudes and got upset when he declined. Kel asked to be in a relationship and got upset when he declined. Kel asked him for explicit texts, but Mönkey didn't decline, and the only reason for this is because he was at a very bad time in his life. That's his claim anyway. This makes me question if Mönkey actually knows what grooming is. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you watching this don't know, since it often just gets conflated with regular old pedophilia. Grooming is a form of predatory behavior where instead of just engaging sexually with a child, you engage normally or relatively normally with a child for years until that child reaches the age of consent, and then you fuck them or sex them or date them or whatever now that they're old enough. That is what grooming is. Mönkey turning down Kel's request for nudes and a relationship and Kel's request for explicit conversations at first is not evidence for Mönkey not being a groomer, because that is what a groomer would do. Now, it's not proof that he is a groomer, obviously, because that's what a normal person would do as well. The funniest part of this claim is that the proof that Mönkey was interested in grooming this supposed minor isn't even in Kel's document. It's in Mönkey's. You are legal, man, but I do not feel comfortable enough, bruh. Come back in 2 years. Even saying this implies the intention of grooming. And this was said even before the very first explicitly sexual conversation between them. It may not have been Mönkey's mission, so to speak, but this message kind of proves that he was open to the idea of grooming Kel from the very beginning. However, that doesn't even really matter because he went on to take it a step further than grooming a few days later when he sexted them. Mönkey goes over the fact that when Kel initially dropped their document, they tried to portray the whole thing as a sort of to catch a predator operation, claiming that they were seeking out to expose Mönkey to begin with as a way to appear more heroic and righteous than they actually are. Obviously, this is false. Everyone figured that out pretty quick, but this doesn't mean you cannot compare the two like Mönkey seems to insinuate. The aspects of a TCAP investigation and the aspects of the Mönkey situation are similar, but different enough that Mönkey appears marginally better than the average Chris Hansen predator. For example, this guy approached someone online that he believed was underage and sexually escalated the conversation, while Mönkey was approached by someone online that he believed was underage and didn't sexually escalate the conversation at first, but eventually reciprocated it and somewhat escalated it when he couldn't resist anymore. Both of these behaviors are fucked up and very irresponsible. It's just that one is actively seeking out something and the other is taking advantage of something that falls into your lap. And just because Mönkey said no 5 times before he said yes doesn't make it any better, because he could have just continued to say no or fucking block them. It's not like he had a limited number of rejections he could use before he was forced to say yes. But again, Mönkey was sad, so that makes it all okay, right? He was taken advantage of while in a dark place. Well, what about the Chris Hansen predators?
I've been the same since when I deployed to Iraq. I have problems sleeping at night. I have problems waking up when I do go to sleep. Something just goes off inside of my head where I'm fine 1 second, and then this next second I'm having different thoughts and stuff like that.
I have nothing to live for anyway. Life's a mess. I failed high school. I have no motivation to finish it. None of the pills. I'm out of work. I don't have a job. I'm a fuck up. I'm fat. I can't do anything. Look at where I dress and stuff. Everybody thinks I'm weird.
Everybody's got personal problems, right? But that doesn't mean it's okay to do this. You get that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure many of you have seen the original episodes these clips are from before. When you did, and when the Predators started breaking down about how tough their life has been lately, all the hardships they've been through that led them here, did you just go, oh, why didn't you just say so, man? I didn't know you were innocent like that. No, you didn't, obviously, because it doesn't change a fucking thing, and it shouldn't change a fucking thing in Mönkey's case. But these Predators always go to meet the minor in real life at a sting house, which Mönkey never did. Well, what about when Chris Hansen went to Onision's house? And all these other channels that just show up at the Predator's home and get them arrested when they can't get them at a sting house? No one has a problem with those. So it doesn't need to escalate to IRL for it to be bad. The Predator doesn't need to be in a good mental state for it to be bad. The Predator doesn't need to be actively pushing the explicit conversation for it to be bad. So what is it? Is it that Kel is a piece of shit with bad intentions? Well, what about EDP? The dude that caught EDP 445 was, at the time, clearly a stupid asshole that didn't know what he was doing, was clearly only in it for the money, and appeared to be kind of fucking racist. Yet no one ever used that to defend EDP and say he's innocent because he's obviously not. All these different things being used to defend Mönkey have been seen in actual Predator investigations, and they haven't changed the public perception of them one bit. I seriously hope that if you came into this video fully on Mönkey's side, that you're at least starting to see my point of view on this. Mönkey refers to what Kel did as entrapment. Here is the definition of entrapment: the action of tricking someone into committing a crime in order to secure their prosecution. Tricking someone. How exactly was Mönkey tricked? Who tricked Mönkey into telling this supposed 16-year-old that his cock would be dripping if they were to cuddle naked? Who tricked Mönkey into telling the supposed 16-year-old that his cock is hard? I can't believe I'm being called a groomer when I had displayed the willpower to decline sending a picture of my dick to this child. I did go on to share with them the fact that it's erect, unprompted, but ignore that part, I'm a victim. Mönkey was not tricked, and he was not entrapped. But then, Mönkey goes on to say, all of this stuff he's just presented doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the past, and he expresses regret and shame and apologizes for what he did, after spending half an hour trying to illustrate why he should be considered innocent and a victim. Is this not a contradiction? For it not to be, this video would have to be perceived as Mönkey saying like, guys, look, this is what happens. I know it looks bad, but it's actually not that bad. Here's why. But you know, I'm still sorry. Which, I guess that's what this is. And sure, comparatively to some of the others in the Predator Hall of Fame, what Mönkey did is not as bad, but it was still predatory. Mönkey says that to call it pedophilia or grooming is flat out wrong, but this is pedophilia, and this is grooming, and to say that it's not is flat out wrong. And the fact that he says stuff like this early on makes it so much weirder. So when this video first came out, I watched part of it and thought to myself, we should read the comments. Big mistake. It is pretty difficult to find comments on this video that aren't in support of Mönkey. I don't think he's censoring them because these comments in support of him have lots of likes. The like to view ratio on the video itself checks out, and there are some negative comments, some of which Mönkey even engaged with. Mönkey has also been hearting some comments, so why don't we read a few of those? The moral of this story from our favorite content maker is don't talk to strangers. Close. The moral is don't talk to minors if you're an adult. Hey Mönkey, I don't know if you'll read this shit, but I want to give my 2 cents. At least this stayed in the realm of text DMs. See, if you went the way of mini lad, then I never would have watched your content again, but you didn't. You owned up to your feelings and listened to your gut, telling you that this shit was wrong. You didn't solicit explicit content. You didn't escalate anything. Kel, or whatever the fuck its name is, did, and only did it to manipulate you when you were vulnerable and grieving. I'm super glad that you recognized your mistake before it was too late and took the initiative by cutting content with Kel. Good job. Now take as much time as you need to grieve properly. Please stay in touch through community updates. Us loyalists will be here when you're ready to fully upload your content again. We got you, bro. Forever and always. Winky face. Lots of things wrong with this. I've already gone over why things like him not escalating and the fact that it stayed in the realm of text DMs don't exonerate him and are still bad, but Mönkey did not realize his mistake before it was too late. He repeatedly made the mistake of continuing to engage with Kel, and then after it was too late and he took a step too far, he was like, wow, I fucked myself, I gotta find a way out of this. Not even, I might be seriously fucking with this kid's head and causing irreparable mental damage. He was only concerned with himself. If you are one of these so-called Mönkey loyalists, fucking crazy way to put it, just try to consider that some of the people you like might actually be pretty bad. Now this is the craziest part to me. People in the comments of this video are giving him money, loads of it. And I'm not just talking about AdSense, like they're donating to him. You've probably heard of super chats before, they're like YouTube's donation system for live streams. But on regular videos, there's a super thanks feature, which is basically the same thing. You give the uploader a set amount of money and leave a comment that gets highlighted in a special color. It's usually pretty uncommon to see these, but there are so many in the comments section of this video. You followed your gut and knew it was wrong before it went to a point of no return. I'm starting to wonder if these commenters even realize what Mönkey admitted to in this video. A lot of them probably don't. His admission is literally, they wanted explicit conversations, and I sadly gave in. You couldn't have been a little more specific? You had no problem getting into the nitty-gritty details of your brother's death. Condolences, brother. I recently lost 3 family members and my doggy. I know how hard it can get. Praying for you. Stay safe. So I'm genuinely really sorry to hear that for this person, but did you also go on to ERP with a minor? No? Okay, well, Mönkey did. I was gonna read more of them, but most of them are just saying the same things, wishing him well, sending their condolences, calling him an innocent victim of manipulation. I don't know if these people are delusional, misled, coping. I really couldn't tell you. But let me tell you why I think it's so important for the community to respond to this video properly. There hasn't really been a sort of Predator drama involving a community member of this size that was as active as Mönkey was in the TF2 sphere before, and if there has, it wasn't in recent memory. This whole case is very important in the sense that it sets the precedent going forward as to how the community will react to something like this in the future. What this comment section communicates to the rest of TF2 YouTube is that if I'm some random YouTuber with a sizable following and I get a minor in my DMs trying to rizz me up, throwing themselves at me, I'm gonna think, Well, fuck, Mönkey got away with it. I probably can too. Granted that I don't care about the actual ethical problems with sexting minors, and I'm only concerned about the way I'm perceived like Mönkey seems to be. It's not a good message. We can't pretend like Mönkey did nothing wrong and that he's fully innocent and he's a complete victim just because we like his videos. There's no integrity in that. Hold this man accountable the same way you would hold anyone else accountable that did something like this. At this point, there's not much left I can say to convince you if you're still in disagreement with me. If you think it's just me and I'm some sort of deranged conspiracy theorist and no one else holds this opinion, I can tell you that all of your favorite creators in this community hold this opinion. Not just one little faction, all of them, from the Chucklenuts to the Chudlings to the Swishcast. Maybe not fully on each specific individual point covered in this video, but all of them denounce Mönkey to varying degrees and want him gone, and I hope some of them speak out on this alongside me because they really should. All I can do now is thank you for watching to the end and hearing me out. Mönkey, I can understand why you probably view yourself as a victim at this point. It would be hard for you not to, after having all these people approaching you and all these people in your comments reinforcing this delusion that you're somehow innocent and should be allowed to come back from this. It really just goes against every other situation where someone's been outed for something like this online. I had heard a rumor that this leaving no stones unturned video was supposed to be like the last Mönkey video forever, that you would just drop this and leave the internet. This may have been a lie since you're posting again, but it may have been true and you just saw the overwhelming support of your video and thought, fuck it, I'll come back. I think that deep down, you know you're not deserving of this tremendous grace that your community is giving you, and the responsible thing for you to do is to just leave anyways. Obviously, your community is welcoming you back with open arms, but I and many other YouTubers would much prefer that you're not welcome here. Continue with your job practice and your 9 to 5. Accept that you blew it and leave the internet. Whether or not you value or ever valued any respect that I did have for you, it all vanished when you decided that you should try to come back. I won't lie, I genuinely did look up to you before this. I watched your videos before I started making my own, and when I started to become like acquainted with you, like seeing you comment on my Zealot video and your positive comments on my Cheater video, talking with you in DMs, like you probably don't even remember that stuff, but it unironically made me really happy at the time, and you just ruined like all of it. So I guess ultimately it's up to you, but please just do the right thing, and in the most respectful way possible, fuck off.